Hello, welcome to another episode of the Benchwarmers. I'm Matt, here with my co-host Ryan.
Hey everyone, welcome back. This is our 34th episode. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on Google Play Music, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and YouTube, as well as follow us on Twitter at Benchwarmers06.
In today's episode, we'll be recapping Week 2 of the NFL, and then we'll be discussing Week 3 predictions, Week 3 games of the week, and big games in college football, and we'll be finishing off with another week of Degen picks.
The Benchwarmers.
All right, Week 2 came to a close. The first game we want to discuss, the Packers versus Vikings, the NFC North rivals. This game ended in a tie, Ryan.
Another tie this week?
What's happening? Yeah. That's the second week in a row that we got a tie. It's kind of weird that we're going in this direction, but we assumed this game was going to be a good one, and obviously both teams were pretty evenly matched, hence why they ended in a tie. I would say that the Packers probably should have won. There was a pretty controversial call at the close to the end of the game where Clay Matthews was called for a roughing the passer penalty, which, in my opinion, probably shouldn't have been called. But due to the new rule changes where you basically can't touch the quarterback, they called it on Clay Matthews, gave the Vikings another chance to basically score, which is why that he ended up in that tie. Overall, I must say that the game was, it was pretty balanced from both teams. Rodgers still is, you could tell he's not 100%. He's still showing, some kind of, I guess he's a little scared, or he's not too confident in that leg that got hurt last week. But, he's still Aaron Rodgers. He's still able to throw the ball, better than most. But I must say, the person that kind of showed me that he could play is Kirk Cousins, because he's on the Vikings, and he's pretty perfect for that Vikings team. He's able to, get those guys the ball when needed, and he really doesn't make mistakes. So, as we discussed earlier in prior podcasts, I think he might be the perfect guy for that team. And I think both teams are definitely going to be vying for that division title this year.
Well, yeah, it's definitely clear they should be. I mean, the Lions are atrocious. The Bears snuck out a win last night, but not against a very good team. And these two teams have always been fighting back and forth recently. They're both very good. The fact that it was another tie is just insane to me. But at the same time, that was a controversial call, which is part of the reason that, makes football sometimes boring to watch, because they are protecting the quarterback a little bit too much. It's kind of like, it gets on your nerves. Like, come on now, you got out to play, especially that close into it. Like, there's no need for some of the small calls. Like, the quarterback can get hit. Like, let's not baby them. Like, it's kind of getting out of hand with, let's protect them, but like everyone else can go and bash their heads, and it's no big deal. So, I kind of have a little bit of an issue with that. Now, also, if the Packers defense had just played better defense prior to them getting another chance there, then maybe it wouldn't have been as possible there. But, I don't disagree with Matt there that, this looks like Cousins found his place. He has a good wide receiving core in Minnesota that has helped him show his skills a little bit better. That basically probably why Keenum was so good there last year is because of the wide receivers that he had. So, Cousins coming in being a veteran quarterback, he definitely has shown that he can do it. And I said, these two teams always fight back and forth. We'll see when they play each other again, and hopefully it doesn't end in another tie. But it was a great game all around, except for that last play.
To the next game we want to talk about was an AFC Championship rematch between the Patriots and the Jaguars. But in this game, the Jaguars won instead of the Patriots. Patriots did not look good this week, and Jaguars defense, we talked about before, is one of the best in the league, and they basically locked down the Patriots. They really couldn't do much, and the way the Jaguars play is basically we have a great defense, and we're not gonna make too many mistakes, and run the ball, smash mouth, and I think the question mark coming into this year is if Blake Bortles could be that game manager. So far, so good. He hasn't made any critical mistakes to hurt the team yet, and really, I think that's what it's going to come down to because they don't really have a great receiving core. One of their best receivers, Marquise Lee, got hurt earlier, and he hasn't played. And basically, that receiving core is not that great. You got Fournette, who didn't even play this game, and they still won. So that's kind of shows you that the Jaguars, I think that they're going to be a force to be reckoned with in that AFC if they're able to dominate on defense. And before I turn it to Ryan to give his take on this game, we found out that the Patriots clearly are not happy about this loss. So they're like, all right, what do we got to do to make our team better? All right, yeah, let's get Josh Gordon in here. They just traded for him from the Browns. Ryan, Josh Gordon, obviously he's a talent, but he hasn't played for real in about 4 or 5 years due to his suspensions, injuries, the fact that he has to check himself into rehab due to his drug abuse. But I must say, if he could get his head on straight, which I feel like I've been saying for years, he can be pretty nasty. And let's be serious, with Tom Brady, there is no ceiling for this guy because he had garbage quarterbacks in Cleveland that one year that he went off, and he basically had 1,800 yards in 16 games or 14 games. He didn't play a full season that year. So with Tom Brady, I don't know. I mean, I hope for Josh Gordon's sake he could get his life together and finally he's not on Cleveland Browns anymore. I hope he understands this is the opportunity of a lifetime to play for the Patriots and Tom Brady. You'll never get to play with one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. So I hope he takes advantage of this situation and he's able to succeed because honestly I think if he fails here, he's done. There's no more chances he could get. The Cleveland Browns kept him around for all these years while he was trying to get his life together, but clearly they got sick of it, and I think the Patriots are his last chance. If Bill Belichick and Tom Brady can't help you, you might as well just wrap it up and retire because they got nothing left.
So I'll hit the Josh Gordon thing first and then get into that game. But obviously the Patriots thought they needed somebody. Maybe they think they can turn around Josh Gordon and help him down the right path. Or maybe they're just going to get away with it because of the Patriots and, just let him do drugs and just not report it and somehow get away with it like, they tried to do in the Super Bowl with the Deflategate. I don't know on that factor. Hopefully he can turn his life around, because, like you said, Matt, he can definitely become a phenomenal receiver there for him and do great things with a guy like Tom Brady. So, we shall see. I doubt it'll happen. I more or less will see him not end up playing, and he will be done at the end of his term there because he'll end up going back to what he's been doing and staying off the straight path. But like I said, maybe they got something in mind that they've helped other players out before maybe and they're just hoping they can help him out too and get him on the right path for his health. I hope they can, but we've seen him go down a bad path. We've seen him go down a bad path for the last few years here. So on to the game. This is how the AFC Championship game should have happened. You should have seen the Jags beat the Patriots. It didn't happen because the Patriots came back and put up some phenomenal fourth quarter, second half run. And like Matt had mentioned, Bortles blew the game because he could not time manage at all. Like also, Matt pointed out, he has been time managing these last 2 weeks to perfection, sort of, for his instance. I mean, he hasn't been perfection, obviously, but he's been learned a lot from last year. Now, either he's been hearing me and Matt say, I don't think he's going to be that good and he's going to be garbage, or he's been listening to obviously all the reporters and everyone's saying that he's terrible and Jacksonville shouldn't have kept him, and he's using that as momentum to help his career and help his game this year. Just focus on that. Which, hey, more power to you. Take that negativity and turn it into positivity and you're doing a great job with it. I respect it. I still don't think he's that great of a quarterback, but he is doing something with it, and he's taking that negativity and he's turning it around. That's more power to him than to just automatically start and fail, like you've seen some people do with the negative energy or negative reports that have come their way. They've kind of just like taken and gone, oh, okay, and been mad about it, but haven't done anything about it. And Bortles obviously did something this offseason because he has definitely turned it up. So congratulations to Jacksonville on beating the Patriots. I wish that was in the AFC Championship last year because then they maybe could have been the Eagles as well, but it didn't happen. So maybe we'll see Jacksonville knock off the Patriots this year because they're not looking too good right now.
On to Ryan's favorite team, the Cowboys. They played the Giants on Sunday night. This game was horrible to watch. I basically had to keep myself awake for this one. It was pretty boring. The Giants are atrocious. They are absolutely awful. That offensive line, they might as well be freaking one-ply toilet paper because Eli Manning is getting pooped on. He gets hit basically every drop back. And if they think they're going to be somewhat respectable this year, they need to shore up that offensive line. And both Maya and Ryan's Rookie of the Year pick, Saquon Barkley, he has no running lanes. He can't run if you got no blockers. So, I mean, it doesn't matter how talented you are. You can't do anything if the whole defense is coming right at you right when you can touch the ball. So, I think the Giants need to figure out what to do something on the offensive line. And the fact that Eli Manning is getting pressured so quickly, he basically had to drop off the pass to Barkley. Barkley ended up with 14 receptions this game, which is ridiculous for a running back. But that's because Eli Manning has such a quick trigger, he had to chuck it to him. But it's not like Barkley had a lot of yardage off those 14 receptions. You'd think 14 receptions, you would have over 100 yards receiving. Nope. I think Barkley ended up with 80 yards. So clearly the Giants need something to work on. Cowboys, they had that one big play in the first drive where off the play action, Dak Prescott was able to find Tavon Austin for the touchdown. But besides that, the offense didn't look that great. In the second half, they were able to slightly pull away from the Giants. But I mean, overall, neither of these teams looked that great. They both have a lot of work to do. But I mean, obviously, I would give the Giants the benefit of the Cowboys slight. I guess I put them slightly ahead of the Giants solely because of the fact they won and they looked better. But and the defense, I must say, the Cowboys defense definitely looked much better than the Giants. So if I were to say who has a better chance of winning that NFC East, it would definitely be the Cowboys.
Well, I'm still saying that they still have a better chance here. But like you said, Matt, I mean, this is back-to-back weeks. The Cowboys have really looked terrible. Their defense is good. I like their defense. Their defense is pretty solid. Their offense really isn't clicking right now. I'm not sure what's going on there. I don't think the receivers are terrible. Like I said, I mean, I think they have some decent receivers in there that they can get the ball to. They haven't really used Hearns at all or anything like that. But this game was really sad to watch, and it's back-to-back weeks to really watch my Cowboys look as bad as they have. I mean, these are two games that they should have won with ease. The Giants being terrible, and the Panthers not looking so good either. That they should have won last week's game. They should be 2-0 right now, but they're not clicking. I don't think they've had enough time to sit and practice together, or their coach, which is I still think they're one of the biggest issues, just doesn't know how to utilize these guys the right way. And maybe he'll get out the way soon or not. But right now it's definitely not looking good out of all the teams in the NFC East. But minus the Giants being terrible, everyone else is kind of mediocre. So it's kind of, flip-flop right now the way teams have looked. I kind of hope that the Cowboys can turn this around. But right now, that was a terrible, terrible second week playing for these guys.
So the final game we're going to discuss on week 2 will be the Chiefs and the Steelers. Man, my homie, Patrick Mahomes, he balled up this game, Ryan. 6 touchdowns in his third career start. He has the most touchdowns in his first 3 games ever. I mean, at this point, you might as well call him a Hall of Famer. He's going to ball up. that Chiefs offense is basically unstoppable. It's a video game with Kareem Hunt, Kelsey, Tyreek Hill, Sammy Watkins, DeAnthony Thomas. I mean, it's pure speed everywhere. You can't guard him, and with Mahomes' arm strength, it's kind of ridiculous. So I don't know. I mean, the Chiefs' defense definitely something to work on, but offensively, I think they're the best, if not the best or second best, because I think them and the Rams are definitely the two best offenses I've seen so far in the first 2 weeks of the season. Steelers. What can I say about the Steelers? Le'Veon still hasn't showed up. Ben, I mean, he put up stats, but that's mostly because they were down, and the Chiefs' defense kind of gave him all the yards in the world. And after the game, someone from the Steelers organization basically said that Antonio Brown is only good because he had Ben Roethlisberger his whole career, whereas Antonio Brown tweeted back saying, "Trade me," and he did not show up to practice today. So, looks like the Steelers are self-destructing as we speak. So, not sure how you feel about that, Ryan.
Well, I mean, we kind of saw the Steelers pretty much self-destructing. If Le'Veon Bell didn't come back, you said your pick of making them the winners of the AFC North was probably going to change, and obviously you're not changing it, but, because I didn't pick them as my pick, so it's not happening. But, no, I mean, you said, that could be an issue, so, maybe they're just trying to piss everybody off and turn around and just trade everybody to different teams at this point. I don't know if this is the smartest thing to do to make your really only wide receiver mad at you when you're looking as bad as you are. But, hey, Steelers have their own mindset, and it's another they're on the other side of Pennsylvania there, so they're not the brightest people over on that side of the state. I don't know. But, no, I mean, seriously, I'm not sure what they're trying to do here, but they did look atrocious. Kansas City somehow looked phenomenal. Kelsey didn't do much the first week. He did a little bit more this week because, well, Mahomes just went off. I mean, Mahomes was just putting up numbers left and right. It was ridiculous what this kid did. Congratulations to him. But like I said, I mean, they have those receivers. He has the arm, and these receivers have the speed that it makes it a perfect connection for these guys. These are, his wide receivers are fast enough, and he can chuck the ball far enough and hard enough that, they can catch the ball, whereas, their defense, the defense can't keep up. Especially anyone on Pittsburgh's defense isn't going to keep up with these guys. So, they definitely have it clicking in all cylinders, and they look really, really good right now. They've definitely put up, I'm pretty sure, the most points so far this season. But they've all around, they've looked really good, and it's actually nice to see Kansas City actually have a real quarterback for once.
Oh, Alex Smith is not a real quarterback?
What was that?
Alex Smith?
Alex Smith? No, he definitely was not a real quarterback. I said it when I used to live in Kansas City for a little bit of time that he was actually a terrible quarterback and he was going to get them nowhere. And look where he's gotten Washington. Yeah,
1-1.
They look terrible. All right? They won that first week because they played a terrible team. All right? They are terrible. They're as bad as the Bills. But not quite.
No one as bad as the Bills.
I don't know. The Raiders look pretty bad, too.
At least they score.
Oh, I'm sorry. How about the Cardinals? How about them being worse than the Bills?
I think they're equally horrible.
The Bills put up more points than the Cardinals have in the first 2 weeks. That's all I want to say.
That is true.
But either way, still three pretty bad teams we're talking about here. So I'd like to interrupt this podcast to talk about our sponsors, the Kidney Boys. Like I said last week, the beat you're hearing in the background is their new song, Overwhelming Feelings, which comes out this Friday. That is September 21st on iTunes, Apple Music, and Spotify. Don't forget to download it and check out their new song, Overwhelming Feelings, by the Kidney Boys. All right, so let's get back into football here, and let's talk about games of the week to watch this week. So first, we'll start off with some NFL talk, and we're going to talk about the New Orleans Saints and my man Drew Brees and the Atlanta Falcons. It's an NFC South matchup. Both teams are 1-1. Falcons coming off of a off of a nice win last week after losing to the Eagles the previous week by basically just blowing the game. And the Saints are looking so-so. This is where my man Drew Brees has to show up and take that MVP away from Rodgers and knock off the Falcons. But honestly, I mean, the Falcons are looking really, really good right now, and the Saints are kind of looking subpar. What's going to help the Saints this game, I think, is going to be, Alvin Kamara with the way he's been running the ball. I think he can run all over this Falcons defense. I don't think they have that strong of a defense. They have a solid defense. I don't think that strong at the running game. I think Kamara can break that through. This will be a close game, I think, no matter what, because, the Falcons and the Saints, it's a interdivisional game. These guys are both tough matchups every time they play each other. I'm still can't believe the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 2-0 and they're leading the division. Never thought I'd say that one, especially when I thought this team was pretty bad. But the Falcons and Saints have something to fight for with the Bucs starting off pretty good, and I think the Saints actually pull this one out just based off of what I think Drew Brees will be able to pull out this week and the way Kamara's been running the ball.
Yeah, before I get into that, I just wanted to add on to something that Ryan said about Tampa being 2-0. The state of Florida is undefeated, 6-0. Yeah, I said that right. The state of Florida is undefeated after week 2. Think about that. Let it sink in. Jacksonville, Miami, and Tampa have not lost.
Yeah, we're talking about 6 teams here, and out of those 6 teams, only one of those teams made the playoffs last year. Or 3 teams. Out of 3 of those teams, only one of those teams made the playoffs that year and actually looked pretty good last year. The other 2 teams, like Miami, who we talked down on, the Bucs, who we talked down on, and even the Jags, who we talked down on. So we were just hating the state of Florida, and the state of Florida is showing up the entire NFL right now.
Yep. So just jumping back into this game, I think that the Falcons are going to win this game. I believe, Ryan, you could correct me if I'm wrong, this game is in Atlanta. So I think it really comes down to the home field advantage here because both teams are division rivals, like Ryan mentioned. And because this NFC South is usually one of the most strongest conferences year in and year out, I think that the Falcons are going to just slightly get that advantage. The Saints, I mean, they're obviously a pretty decent team also because of the fact, I mean, like Ryan mentioned, Kamara, the Breeze, Michael Thomas. I don't know what is with the Saints because Kamara is clearly not putting up the stats that he did last year. I don't know if this is because Ingram has not been part of the team yet because of the suspension. If that's the case, then maybe teams last year had a difficult time, kind of bouncing back from Kamara and Ingram, and now without Ingram, they could focus solely on Kamara. Maybe that's why he's not doing as well. Regardless, I think Kamara is still a great player, and Saints, I'm sure this is going to be a relatively high-scoring game. Neither defense is something to write home about, but I think the Falcons edge this one out.
To confirm, it is in Atlanta. Yes, you're right. So on to the second game that we think is another good one to watch in the NFL this week, and we're talking about none other than the Chargers versus the Rams. The Rams have started off hot. They have a great offensive line, like Matt said. They have probably one of the best offenses. It's not the second best to Kansas City. They're clicking on all cylinders. They picked up where they fell off last year. And then you have the Chargers, who didn't look too good in week 1, but came back and won week 2. This game is in LA. I'm sorry,
Ryan, both teams are
yeah, I
from
know
LA.
They're both in LA. Yeah, this is in. They both play in the Memorial Coliseum, though, right? They don't. They both play in 2 different stadiums, don't they?
They're playing 2 different stadiums, yes.
Yeah, so it's in the Memorial, which is where the
Rams.
Rams play. Yeah,
yes.
Where the Rams play. Yeah, because they're in the Rams stadium, and the Rams, I think, look way better than the Chargers do, and I think that they will just shut down the Chargers and stop them with ease. I don't think the Chargers will be a an easy matchup for them. I think they're going to run all over that defense, throw all over that defense, run all over that defense, just do everything against that defense. I just don't see the Chargers. I mean, yeah, they did solid last week, but they haven't played the Rams yet, and the Rams are looking like one of the best teams in the NFL right now.
Yeah, the Battle of L.A. Rams, like Ryan mentioned, they look dominant on both sides of the ball. Their defense shut down the Cardinals. Not like that means much because the Cardinals suck, and their quarterback is Sam Bradford. I'm pretty sure me and Ryan could shut him down. But the Rams defense is still really good. They have a bunch of guys that we discussed about before the season started that they picked up. And offensively, I mean, Todd Gurley, one of the best running backs in the game. They have a bunch of weapons. Chargers, I personally think they're a good team. I think they have guys all over the place that are also talented. I don't think I would agree with Ryan on that. I think the Rams will blow them out. I think it's going to be relatively close. I think the Rams are a better team. I can't deny that. But I wouldn't be surprised if this is the Rams win by a touchdown or so.
All right, so on to our college games of the week. And the first one is number 1 Alabama versus number 22 Texas A&M. Alabama has basically been shutting every team down, and it's
when you wait, Ryan. I just wanted to emphasize, when you say shut down, you mean just manhandle everybody.
I've used a lot more choice words that I will not put on this podcast, but yes, basically, yes, they are literally it's like they're playing children. It is sad, or if you're an Alabama fan, I guess great to watch. I don't know. But they're actually playing a ranked team this week in Texas A&M, and maybe Texas A&M won't get destroyed. I can't really say that. I mean, I don't even think the points are that bad for this game, but I mean the way Alabama's just manhandling teams.
Oh yeah. All right. So while Ryan is talking, I'm gonna check the point spread for this game. Continue, Ryan.
Okay. Like I said, I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's not that high. I'm pretty sure it's like 2 touchdowns maybe, which is the smallest I think spread for an Alabama game because I guess Texas A&M is ranked. But if you're not a top 5 team, maybe even top 6 team, going up against Alabama, I don't see them not just destroying you, drop a nuclear bomb on you, make you want to quit playing football altogether, question why or anything about anything you do with your life. Yeah, I don't see Texas A&M even keeping up with Alabama, but I could be wrong, and Texas A&M could turn around and just destroy Alabama or beat them by 3 points or whatever because they get lucky. But I have yet to see a team actually go up against Alabama and do something against them. If it is Texas A&M, hey, congratulations to you guys. I just don't see it happening. I see them taking care of Alabama. I see Alabama taking care of Texas A&M with ease. By 31 points,
Ryan
I'll say.
Mentioned that
30 points at least, I'll say.
What? 30 points what?
That Alabama will beat Texas A&M.
So you said the spread might be 2 touchdowns? Yeah. The spread is 4 touchdowns.
Oh, my apologies.
4 touchdowns.
Apologies.
It's a 27-point spread. It's ridiculous. This is how good Alabama is this year. Well, every year, but this year is a little freakish because all of a sudden now they have a quarterback that's actually a quarterback,
a real quarterback for once.
Yeah, I'm sure you remember, Ryan, that I said that because now they want to start Tua. What are they going to do? Like, no defense could do anything because now you already know they could run the ball, and now if Tua could pass the ball, and their defense is a bunch of NFL players, how the hell do you stop this team? I don't get it. Like, it's literally not fair. Alabama literally is putting out an NFL team out there. So I feel bad. I feel bad for all their opponents because even though Texas A&M is another SEC team and they're ranked, you may think this is going to be close, but no, I don't think it's going to be. I like Ryan mentioned, I think this might be another massacre. I don't know who's going to really be able to compete with Alabama in the SEC this year. I'm hoping either LSU or Auburn, but the way they're looking, I honestly don't know. I think they might just murder everyone by 30 plus.
Well, just to point out, Auburn did beat them last year, so you like said they may get lucky, but with an actual quarterback this year, I'm with
but like I said, now it's with Tua. Let's just not forget that.
Yeah, I said with an actual
last year it was with.
It's kind of hard to not say that. So, off of the NFL versus children game, let's get into our second game of the week with Stanford taking on Oregon. So Stanford is ranked number 7, and Oregon is ranked number 20. It's a Pac-12 matchup. I think this is going to be a great game. It's in Oregon, which gives Oregon, I feel, a little bit of a favorite when it's a college team. They're playing home. As long as they're not playing against Alabama, it's going to be rough. It's always rough to play in another college team's home stadium. The crowd plays into every single game. Both these teams are undefeated. This is Oregon's first game in a Pac-12 against a Pac-12 team. Whereas Stanford has played one of the Pac-12 teams already. It's going to be I think it's going to be a close one. I just think that Oregon's going to end up edging them out in the end because of the home field advantage on this one.
Well, Ryan, as you may remember, I picked Stanford to be in the playoff. I picked Bryce Love to win the Heisman. So, unfortunately, I cannot pick against them.
Makes every reason for me to pick against you.
Oregon is... But I do agree with Ryan that playing in Oregon is definitely going to be difficult. Oregon has a pretty good home field advantage. So, I think it's going to be... I think it's going to be close. I think Stanford is going to win. But I think it's going to be by less than a touchdown. And I hope Bryce Love gets over 200 yards and marches his way onto that Heisman, even though he hasn't been playing well so far. But hopefully this game gets him on that right track. My only fear is they kind of don't get up for this game because next week Stanford plays Notre Dame. And I'm hoping they don't look past this one first because of the fact they see that next game. So I'm hoping because it's a conference game that they step up and take care of business before they play that Notre Dame game.
All right, so let's get into the last game of the week that we think you should watch. And speaking of Heisman possibilities we talked about, we're getting the My Heisman, who's looked really, really good. And I'm talking about number 18, Wisconsin, and Jonathan Taylor, who has looked really good this season and this part of the season so far, and has a great chance, really even better chance than Matt's Heisman to get this the way he's been playing right now. And they're going up against Iowa, in Iowa. So, again, like I said, home field advantage plays a part. Iowa's undefeated. It's a Big Ten matchup. Wisconsin's 2-1. So, Iowa has a lot to prove, taking out a number 18 seed as well as playing an interdivision rival there with Wisconsin. But the way Jonathan Taylor's been playing, I don't see Wisconsin losing this game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout by any means. Hornbrook, their quarterback, has looked pretty good too, and so has I said with their rusher Taylor. I think that these guys will pull out the win, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's a field goal or less than a touchdown. I don't see this being a blowout, but Iowa's home field advantage will definitely play into this game.
Definitely. Iowa, I feel like every year they play everybody in their conference tough. All the ranked teams that come in there, I remember whether it be Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, I feel like somehow Iowa always pulls off a couple wins that against ranked teams that kind of wow, all right, I guess Iowa's pretty decent. And Wisconsin coming off that loss last week against BYU, where their kicker missed that field goal. I'm sure they're not happy. So because a lot of people preseason Thought Wisconsin was one of those teams that you expected to be in that playoff push, but losing to BYU definitely hurts them. So, and Ryan mentioned that his Heisman pick Taylor, he's been doing really well, but I'm surprised I'm saying this. Wisconsin's going to lose 2 in a row. Iowa upset.
You're just going against my Heisman pick. Don't even lie to yourself.
Hey, it's not my fault they lost to BYU.
This is the Degen Corner.
All right. Everybody's favorite segment of the podcast. Degen Corner. Both Ryan and I both went 2-1 last week with our picks. Let's see if we could go 100% this week. With my first Degen pick, I got Notre Dame minus 7.5 against Wake Forest. The Minnesota Vikings minus 16.5 versus the Buffalo Bills, solely because the Buffalo Bills are straight garbage. And my final Degen pick of the week, the Bengals plus 3 against Carolina.
So for my Degen picks this week, I am going with Missouri a plus 14 versus number 2 Georgia, because it's in Missouri and playing in Mizzou is a rough game, and Georgia's been somewhat okay. Number 10 Washington a minus 17.5 against Arizona State. And for my last pick, we're going to go with the Cleveland Browns a minus 3 versus the Jets, because the Browns have been looking decent, and well, the Jets haven't. So I think they'll get their first win here after just squeaking by on that loss that they probably should have won last week. So good luck to all of our Degen picks there.
Yep. So just to reiterate, my picks: Notre Dame, Vikings, Bengals.
And mine is Missouri, Washington, and the Browns. All right, on to hot topics. So for my hot topic, we're going to talk about none other than our hometown team, the Philadelphia 76ers. And they finally picked a GM. And who is their GM, you ask? Well, none other than ex-Philadelphia 76er, Elton Brand, who played maybe a game or two with us? No. I mean, he was signed to us, got hurt, and still didn't play that much. I don't know what the reasoning was for this, except for maybe that, he is an ex-player and maybe he can do a better job than what we had there before. But, I guess we'll see really what happens with him and how he turns out and how well of a GM he can be. We've seen other players be a GM. I'm talking about Michael Jordan, and he does not look that good as a GM. Probably one of the worst GM in the NBA right now. So maybe the Sixers thought, hey, why not do Elton Brand? Because let's just be bad again. I don't know. I hope he pans out and actually, can be a really good GM for us and doesn't blow this team up or hurt us, because we really have a pretty solid team here. So congratulations to Elton Brand on getting that GM.
Yeah, I don't know about this, Ryan. I mean, Elton Brand was he was a respectable player while he was playing in the NBA. I don't know if he really showed any kind of front office skills since he's retired. I knew he was I think he was a GM for the G League team, whoever the hell they are, Blue Coats, whatever. I don't know, whatever their name is.
That's the new team name. Yeah, they were the 87ers first year.
But I mean, I don't know if that team means anything. So I'm intrigued on how he's going to do. I don't know why they picked him, because initially I know that they tried to interview the Rockets' Daryl Morey and people of that stature, or people who are part of NBA franchises right now. So now that the fact that they didn't go that route, they went totally the opposite way and went internal and picked Elton Brand. From a Sixers fan standpoint, it kind of doesn't give me a lot of hope, because I don't know what Elton Brand can do, and I'm hoping because he was a former NBA player that he has connections and he's able to connect to players from from today, and hopefully that'll help us. But I'm not getting my hopes up because of the fact that he has very, very little experience in general managing.
I mean, me and you could have done a better job, Matt. That's all I want to say there. I put our names in the hat, but they obviously went with Brian instead.
I mean, he can't be worse than Brian Colangelo. At least I assume that.
Facts.
But I don't know. I just can't. I don't know, Ryan. I don't know about this pick. I really hope he doesn't screw this up because, as Ryan mentioned, we have a pretty good core with Simmons and Embiid, and if Fultz turns out to be decent, I don't know. I just hope we have somebody who is smart enough and able to look at the future and not screw it up. That's kind of just what I'm hoping for, because this is a lot of responsibility for a guy that's never really been an NBA general manager. On to my hot topic for this week. It's actually pretty hilarious. It's a team that we've been pretty much making fun of all podcast. The Buffalo Bills. Their cornerback, Vontae Davis, decided at halftime that he wants to retire from the NFL. Didn't show up for the second half. Just like, nah, I'm good. I think I'm done. I don't know, Ryan. I think this is pretty hilarious. Like, imagine if one day at work we're like, after lunch, we're like, nah, I'm good. I don't feel like working no more. Seems pretty ridiculous that a person would do this. But I think it's mostly because the Buffalo Bills suck. I think they're one of the most awful teams in the league. And I think he just realized it's really not worth it. Millions of dollars is cool, but I'd rather not get concussions and possibly CTE for all these losses I'm about to rack up all year. They might not win a game. So I think the fact that he did this in the middle of the game is pretty disrespectful, because he's a part of a team, and you're supposed to be a band of brothers when you're a part of a team, and he just decided at halftime, like, nah, I'm just gonna go home. I don't know what to feel about this, because I understand if he truly just does not have the desire to play. I get that, but it's like, hey, you could do that before the game. You could say it before the season. You could have, you had plenty of time. But he decided in the middle of the game that he was done, and I thought that was just a very distasteful way of going out. And his teammates, some of them spoke out saying that they're just like basically like I hope you never come back, and I fully agree with his teammates or former teammates that he should not come back to the NFL. If for whatever reason, if he thinks that he wants to come back, like no, you can't have that. And you call it retiring, I call it quitting, because Ryan and I, we played sports our whole life, but even in pickup basketball, I can't even respect a person who would quit middle of the game, even if we're losing by multiple points. Like, Ryan and I played enough that if you lose, you lose as a team. You don't just get up and quit and go home. So I just found this just both funny, because it's crazy to hear that a professional would do this, but also it's just like this guy had no respect for it. Neither his teammates, the sport itself, just basically for yourself. Just come on, man, you're better than that. You're supposed to be somewhat of a role model to kids, and quitting is not the answer.
So he wasn't a band of brothers; he just abandoned his brothers. Yeah, it's funny on the outside of it, looking in. Team probably, like I said, they suck. So I'm just gonna up and quit. Not gonna worry about this. On the other hand, funny enough though, on the side of this story is I actually did work with somebody who did leave at lunchtime, and it was hilarious. But at the same time, very disrespectful. And you're like, yeah, F you, dude. Don't ever apply for another job in this area. You're not coming back. Yes, it has happened. And as it was funny, it was very disrespectful, and it's just very distasteful to do. And I've seen it happen. So, but on to this guy, it is. I don't disagree with his players. Don't come back to the NFL. Don't ever show up again. And from a fan point, it is just hilarious and funny to think about. But it's not something you do. It's very distasteful. It's disrespectful not only to the team, like the owners, but your teammates itself. You just don't do that in the middle. I don't care how bad the team is. Just retire at the end of the game. Like, you knew you guys were terrible last week. Obviously, it wasn't going to change this week. Wait till the end of the game and just finish it off. Like, why do it at lunchtime, at halftime? Got me thinking about lunch and food. Damn. But it's something that I was shocked at when I heard, but started laughing really hard when I heard about it. At the same time, it's just I'm still in awe. Like I said, I've seen people do it in the companies I've worked for throughout my years. I've seen even someone quit in the first 3 minutes of their job, which is quite hilarious at the same time. But then you want to beat them up because what the hell are you doing? That means I got find somebody to cover your shift and all that kind of stuff. Either way, it's funny, but I've seen it happen at lunchtime, at the first 3 minutes of their day. It's just, it's funny at first, and then you're just really taken back by it and angry at the same time. So I get why these guys are hurt by it and angry by it. Like, it's just not something you do. Like Matt said, it's not something, when we play basketball and pick up games we play in, that someone does that. No matter how much losing by, you just don't do that. You would never be asked to come play a game with us ever again. Just don't leave. Like, it's disrespectful. Just play out the game. Like, that's all I can say about that. It's like, stop setting bad examples for kids where, to do something like this, like, it's okay to do. Like, don't worry, you didn't run that full mile. Quit halfway through. No, finish. Just finish.
On that note, now that Ryan's hungry, we gotta finish this podcast.
Gave me some food, man. Let's go.
That's all we got for this week's podcast. Thank you for joining us on the Benchwarmers. Once again, you could subscribe to our podcast on Google Play, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and YouTube. And please follow us on Twitter. You could tweet us any of your questions or any other topics you want us to discuss in following weeks. See you guys next week.
The Benchwarmers.